amazing. Hello and welcome to the 2020 FIA Gran Turismo Championships. We're back in action for round 28 of the EMEA Region Top 16 Superstars. My name's Tom Brooks. Alongside me, Shaki X himself, Jimmy Broadbent. And Jimmy, first of all, I think the first thing we need to address, of course, is that when did Gary Barlow call and when did he ask you to be and take that?
It was very nice to get the call from Gary, actually. No, I mean, this is what happens when you try and get rid of all the hair that doesn't work too well. But I can actually, my head can breathe. Can heads breathe? It feels like I can breathe better now.
We'll go with it. Why not? Anyway, we've got action to come here today from the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Series. Lots of action to come for you. It's going to be very exciting. You can see the Nations Cup taking place at the Dragon Trail Seaside II circuit in Group 3 machinery. And if we look towards the Manufacturers Series, well, a circuit that is actually quite familiar as well. It's the Suzuka circuit in Japan. That's in Group 4 cars, a track that really needs no introduction if you're a fan of motorsport.
No, we'll probably get you one anyway, though, because we're nice like that. We're good. But yeah, two awesome circuits, of course.
If we think back to last time out in the Nations Cup, well, of course, there have been two names that have been on the lips of us all season long, really, of course, of Valerio Gallo and Baptiste Beauvoir. But interestingly, last time, it was the other Italian, Giorgio Mangano, who took the spoils.
Yeah, Mangano put on a bit of a strategic masterclass, and we put together a few highlights for you to let you know what that looked like.
Go racing here for the Nations Cup. Gallo leads the field over the line with Baptiste Beauvoir in the second position as they come up the hill in towards the first corner with Mangano. He's got the advantage of the slipstream, pulls to the inside as they come over the timing line, then side by side as we head up the hill into the first corner. Mangano on the inside, brakes later, brakes deeper, and Rodriguez fancying a slice of the action. He's up the inside of Valerio Gallo. Valerio Gallo, it was disadvantage to him last time around, it's now advantage to him. Here comes Baptiste Beauvoir, we're about to go three wide into the left-hand. Is Beauvoir going to send it down the inside of them both? Into the left-hand we go, and he does it! Brilliant driving there from Baptiste Beauvoir, late on the brakes, up the inside, into the top five. There's contact between them as we come side by side, three wide on the corner exit. Beauvoir on the inside, Gallo in the middle, Rodriguez on the outside. Beauvoir's going to try and send it down the inside of the left-hander, but Gallo holds on to second position. Over the line we come for Giorgio Mangano. A brilliant race for the Italian driver. So Giorgio Mangano then taking the spoils in that Nations Cup race. I mean, it was brilliant start to finish, wasn't it? Lots of Audis on the grid, but providing lots of exciting racing.
Yeah, Audi Cup. But, you know, Baptiste, again, for me, just the most entertaining. It's like, oh, is that going to be a free wide? Yeah, it is. I just chucked it in there and made the move stick every time. It was awesome to watch. But for Giorgio, of course, like you said, just sort of looking in the mirror going, all right then, you do what you want, I'm going to win this.
Cleared off, didn't he? Just didn't really have much competition from behind and never looked back, really, after that point as well. I mean, the thing is, Giorgio Mangano is a driver, 1 out of 4, who's kind of involved in with a shout of the title this year. Let's have a look at the championship standings just to give you a clearer idea of what it looks like so far. You can see on the screen now, Baptiste Beauvoir with 3,000 points sits at the top of the order ahead of Valerio Gallo. Giorgio Mangano with that win last time out, also very close. And Cocaine Lopez also in the mix.
Yeah, going to do my best weatherman now and say basically anyone from here to here has a chance of winning this. I think Adam Playpate's a little bit too far off, I think.
And showers in the northeast.
Yeah,
something like that, sunny spells later on.
Hurricanes
sort of
everywhere.
Well, you can see there are 4 drivers that are involved in the title fight, then all within a shout for the Nations Cup. And, well, surprisingly, or unsurprisingly to everybody, we couldn't agree who was going to take the win. So we decided to have a bit of a row about it. What was that?
Okay then, contenders, the people in it to win it. First of all, let's talk about my man, Baptiste Beauvoir. I mean, probably the most aggressive driver out there. He has that extra little edge over the competition, including his big rival.
Nonsense. I'm not having that said. I mean, if you look at Valerio Gallo, you only have to look at his stats and just see that he is the more consistent of the two drivers. Where have you seen Beauvoir a lot of the times? Facing the wrong way or with a penalty. When have we seen that with Valerio Gallo?
You never hear about the consistent guys. Do you go, oh man, that guy is so consistent, I love watching him go around. The thing with Baptiste is a bit of a showman.
You only have to look at Valerio Gallo's stats, Jimmy, to be honest with you. I mean, look at him. He's been going on that upward curve all season long. And I think that this is where he's going to come best, under pressure, when it matters.
But then I suppose you can't really look at Valerio Gallo and not consider the likes of Giorgio Mangano as well. The winner of the first World Tour event back in 2018. Stock is very high at the moment, really consistent there as well.
Yeah, there's a reason why we always say Giorgio Mangano, winner of the first World Tour event, because what's he done since then? You are as good as your last race. And I think Coque Lopez actually last time out at the World Tour event won the Manufacturers Series with BMW. So a guy who knows how to win.
I don't believe that. We've always talked about Coque Lopez as a nearly man, and there's a reason we've talked about him as a nearly man, because that is exactly what he's been. I just don't know if he's got what it takes to bring the fight to the front.
Oh, well, he's got my hairstyle, so obviously he's going to do well.
Yeah, that's like another 10 horsepower, isn't it, right?
So my pick, as you probably guessed, would be Baptiste Beauvoir.
Can't say I agree with you there, Jimmy. My pick, Valerio Gallo. Well, Jimmy and I might not agree with each other, but there are 4 contenders. There are 2 races to go. It could change the complexion of everything. So only 2 rounds left in the top 16 superstars for the EMEA region in 2020. Of course, one of us is going to be proved right. The other is going to be proved wrong.
Keep wishing that, mate. Keep thinking.
Who do you think is going to win, though? I mean, that's the most important thing, of course. Get in touch with us in the comment section, on the live chat, whatever it is, however you're watching this, and let us know who you think is going to win. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at those 4 drivers, though. Baptiste Beauvoir, Valerio Gallo, Giorgio Mangano, and, of course, Coque Lopez. By the power of technology, it's up on screen behind us. You can see there Baptiste Beauvoir, 3,000 points, sitting at the top of the tables, and it's the best 8 results, isn't it?
It will be the best 8 once we get to the end. Right now, it's best 7 results. It kind of scales up as we go across. And bear in mind, there are 8 races per week these guys can take part in, which is why you see Giorgio Mangano here on 19 wins. You might think, well, why isn't he leading? Well, it's because his best 7 results are worse than Baptiste's best 7 results. So that makes sense to me. That makes sense to you as well. But you see how close these points are, Tom. You know, we're talking just under 200 points, and that is 1 race victory. So someone like Coque Lopez might think, you know what, I'm going to send it this week, and he'll do that, get the win, and put himself right into contention.
Yeah, the Jimmy Broadbent school of thought there, really. Of course, one thing to mention, if you are in the top 16 superstars, you do get a few more points than if you were competing just as part of the regular online season. So there's that extra incentive there to be a part of these races, and you never know, it might make all the difference when the checker flag falls for the last time.
Well, Coque will be hoping that, won't he?
It certainly will. Anyway, that is to come, of course, over the course of the next week or so. This is now, and this is the circuit we're competing on, the Dragon Trail Seaside II circuit. The chicane of death, I think, becomes the chicane of life because it's in reverse, this layout, right?
That's definitely how that works, yeah. So, of course, based down in Croatia, fictionally, of course, Dragon Trail Seaside 2. If you've played any GT Sport at all, you'll know this track fairly well by now. Long straights here, meaning that a high top speed is going to help you out, but this midsection downhill from T6 all the way down to T12, all about having good corner stability. So car choice is going to come into play here.
Certainly is. You can see elevation change on your screen there now as well. 38 metres from the top to the bottom, fair amount of elevation. It's a really fast flowing track and the drivers love it. It's one of my favourite fictional tracks on GT.
They love it until they hit the inside wall at the chicane of death.
Who has done that?
I think after
everyone. Goodness me. Yeah, it is going to be really exciting to see how we go. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at the circuit on a hot lap with Valerio Gallo.
Yeah, this is Valerio Gallo, of course, one of our contenders, going down to T1. We're in the McLaren as well, mid-engine car. A little bit of oversteer and exit there. Now, the chicane of life or death, however the hell you want to call it, this is it. We're coming up to it now. It's a very, very fast right, left, right. Let's see how quick he is here in practice. Does he lift on the way in? I expect he will. Little blend on the way, and you see how close he is there to that wall on the inside, almost touching it, and on the exit as well. And now it's all about getting this exit right down towards T6. Very, very late apex here. You almost can't see the apex when you turn in. Go there, actually shifting up a gear on exit to try and get a better exit. Now we go up the hill and get ourselves ready for a very fun, very fast, very flowing downhill section of Esses. Pull over to the left-hand side of the circuit. And at the last second, chuck the car over to the right. Use the curbs to hook the car in. Very important to be nice and precise down here. It's very easy to go wide out of his right-hander, touch the gravel, and then get dragged off out into that wall. Gallo just flirting with danger there on exit. Now we come up to T12. Again, use the curb on the entry and mid-corner and exit. Really extend the circuit as much as you can here. Every driver is going to be doing that here, so you might as well do it too. Then we come into the last section. This chicane is a little bit more difficult coming over way, if you ask me, but here it's downhill. You can really let the camber of the road control the car, especially on this right-hander cambered inwards there. Then it's just a straight run to the line, keep the car hugging to the inside of the fastest lap, and that is there, a fastest lap of Dragon Trail Seaside 2. So that is how you do it.
Just a few minutes to go until the race gets underway. Let's take a look, shall we, see how the drivers are getting on during qualifying then, as they are on their final flying laps in this one. At the moment, it's Coque Lopez who's looking pretty handy. Keep an eye out, though, as Giorgio Mangano goes and improves up into P7. Look at Coque Lopez, though, and Valerio Gallo, crucially, there in P4. They're in a swarm of cars here, Jimmy.
Yeah, a bit of a train at the moment coming through this first section. It's a tricky place to be, but also you want to try and use the draft to the other competitors there. Coque Lopez currently on provisional pole, is deep in the draft of Baptiste Beauvoir, makes a mistake there coming out of T6 up the hill. That's going to slow them all down. Lots of Aston Martins and Supras involved in this race, so you're seeing our car choice at the moment coming out. There is Adam Sassuillo, currently in 6th place on his last flying lap. He's got only a few corners to go, so we'll see how he fares up, but right now a good result for him, as it would be. 6th place, Jones behind, currently down in 16th, about a second off Adam Sassuillo, but we'll have the draft there down the bottom of the hill. So Adam there will go to the line. Oh, mistake there, that's going to cost him his lap. Gets all sorts of sideways on the exit curb, and that's going to be Adam Sassuillo's qualifying session over and done with.
Disappointment there for Adam Sassuillo. What about Jones then? Can he improve? P16 he sits at the moment over the timing line. It's an improvement to 15th position. There is your pole sitter of Martin Swiderick, rather I should say, in 2nd position. There is the man who's currently on provisional pole. Coque Lopez won't be improving on this lap, so he's going to have to hope that everybody else behind will not be improving there either. So Carlos Salazar, P3 for him over the timing line. Got the slipstream of Adam Tapai in front. Can he improve from 3rd position on the grid? He comes over the line now. It's not an improvement for him. And it looks like Coque Lopez is going to take pole position for round 28 then here. Lots of drivers completing their final flying laps, but nobody lighting up the sector times, really. Marcus Condon on a personal best in that middle sector. He is P5 as things stand. Mangano improves up to 7th, but immediately gets bettered by Chris Malky there, who goes into P7. Mangano will start at best 8th on the grid here.
That'll be a great result there for Coque Lopez. He's the one out of our sort of 4 contenders that need the points the most at the moment. And funnily enough, we chatted with him earlier on, and he said that his practice started today. So this is a great qualifying result there for Coque Lopez, as Condon does not improve. And I think that's it. Swiderick is in the pits as well. So that is it. Coque Lopez then, pole position.
Right when it matters, he came good there.
Yeah, as I said, you know, he did that essentially with no practice, or very little practice compared to the other guys. So pole position, that's exactly what he needs for his campaign. He needs to be up there, and this is a great start to it.
Not bad at all. What about the likes of Baptiste Beauvoir? Looking very animated, we understand, during that qualifying session. Maybe things not going the Frenchman's way?
Yeah, but to be fair, when is he not animated? He's always chucking stuff around. But it's very easy to get blocked on these laps, especially when drafting does come into play as well. People are always vying for track positions, so that might come into it. But what we know about Baptiste, he's a hard charger. Let's just hope he doesn't charge too hard, pick up another penalty.
Yeah, exactly. The 2 Italians of Mangano and Valerio Gallo not going too well. Let's see how they fare under race conditions, shall we? Let's head over to the grid and see what's going to happen for the Nations Cup. The drivers lining up on the grid ahead of the start of the Nations Cup race for round 28 of the top 16 superstars. Coque Lopez, the Spaniard, lines up on pole position for what I think is possibly the first time this year. Martin Swiderick, the Polish driver, alongside him in the 2nd Aston Martin. Carlos Salazar, the Portuguese driver, feeling confident ahead of this weekend. Can he convert that into a strong result? Valerio Gallo will be trying to do a better job than he did in qualifying from P4. Condon, P5 for the Finnish driver. Can he be a wild card? What about Adam Sassuillo? But for that mistake on the final flying lap, he may have been in contention. Christopher Malky, the Swede, lines up in 7th position. Then P8 on the grid is Giorgio Mangano, the next of our title contenders. P9, Adam Tapai, the Hungarian. And then completing the top 10 is Baptiste Beauvoir, the championship leader. Work to do for him. 11th place is Jones. Let's see what he can do from that position on the grid. 12th, Manu Rodriguez, the 2nd of the Spaniards on the field. Fonseca, the Portuguese driver, lines up P13. P14 is Garnier. P15 on the grid is the 2nd of the Jones drivers. And then 16th position is Calderon, the 3rd of our trio of Spaniards that line up on the grid. Now, of course, tyre strategy comes into play here, Jimmy. Top 8 drivers starting on the medium tyres over the course of 20 laps. What's their strategy going to be?
Tough to say at this point. Of course, very much depends on how they feel in the car, how they're feeling in this Aston Martin Vantage, and of course Supra, some have gone through as well. The big story here, of course, is that Valerio Gallo, he is currently, I guess, in the best position, because Baptiste Beauvoir all the way down in 10th place, our championship leader, having a torrid qualifying session. And Coque Lopez, the man, of course, in 4th place in our standings, he's in the hot seat. He's up there on pole. So if he can have a good race here, this could really put him in contention for the last round.
20 laps for these drivers. Tyre strategy is going to be very important. Fuel could be crucial here as well. Let's see what happens though. Coque Lopez is going to lead the field over the timing line over the course of these 20 laps, but will he be on top when the checkered flag falls? We're about to find out. Round 28 of the Nations Cup for the top 16 superstars in the EMEA region is underway here at the Dragon Trail Seaside II circuit. Lopez leads the field over the line as they come on the downhill run in towards the first corner. The rolling start spreads the field out, so don't expect anybody to be making too many moves into those first couple of corners. It's crucial to get heat into those tyres, so we might see a few drivers trying to weave on this straight, just trying to get a bit more heat into those tyres. You can see that happening in the background there. Looks like Marcus Condon was making a few weaves there as well. Here comes Baptiste Beauvoir. He's now ahead of Adam Tapai, so already the Frenchman is up into 9th position as they come through that very tight chicane, threading the eye of a needle at 100 miles an hour for the first time of asking, and he has got it all to do. And here is his fellow title rival Giorgio Mangano. He's up the inside, he's through into P8 there, into the hairpin. They're going to go very close indeed on the exit. Mangano's hung out to dry on the curb. Baptiste Beauvoir still side by side as they come down the straight. It's going to be a case of who blinks first. They're going to kink right, then they're going to kink left. Will Beauvoir have track position? He's ahead of Mangano, and now he's got 8th place.
Absolutely no time wasted at all there for Baptiste Beauvoir. He knows he needs to get up to the front of the field and get up there quickly. So nice and clean this time by Baptiste. No penalties picked up from what I can see, so he'll be happy with that. He's got Mangano gone, he's got the Pike on as well, and now we'll have his sights set on Malky in front. This fight as well between Condon, Siswillo and Malky, that's only going to help Baptiste Beauvoir. Siswillo's on the inside in the Supra, Condon there on the outside in advantage, with Malky trying to find his way through as well. Almost 3 wide there. Malky thought about it. A little bit of a tap on the back of Siswillo allows Condon to pull back in front, and Siswillo sort of gets away with that one up into 5th place. That slowed Condon right down though, and look then who's right on the back of this little train. Guess what? It's Baptiste Beauvoir who's going around the outside trying to anyway. They're drafting down the straight. We're on board now with the Frenchman. Malky in front, Condon just in front of him. Beauvoir looks to the outside as Condon defends from Malky. Can you go all the way around the outside? It's very risky doing that. He might get the move made. He does. Baptiste Beauvoir up into 7th place. He'll have the draft as well. Up the chicane. He does. What a move there by Beauvoir.
That's fantastic there from Beauvoir coming in towards the chicane. We are though. This is where he's just going to have to sit behind Condon here, even if he is a little bit faster. Look at how much speed and commitment they're carrying through there. And you can see Beauvoir is really pushing the much. Condon has a bit of a slide on. Here we go then into the left-hander. Hard on the brakes. Up the inside is Beauvoir's favourite overtaking opportunity. And he's found his way through into P6 at the start of lap 2. He is really on a charge here.
And we've missed something. We've missed a change to the lead. Coque Lopez now down into 2nd place. Swindrick must have found his way through whilst we were watching Beauvoir make his way through the field. So that's not ideal for Coque Lopez. He really needs that win. And importantly, Valerio Gallo as well up into 3rd place. So all our championship contenders, bar Coque Lopez, moving forward. As you say that, Mangano as well. Not a great start for him, down to 9th. So right now, Gallo and Beauvoir, the 2 names we've been talking about most in these last few events, have just been the class of the field and showing why they are making their way back up towards the front.
Well, very exciting stuff indeed. There is Martin Swiderick leading the way at the moment. Here is Coque Lopez. What went wrong there for Coque? We didn't see what happened. Maybe Swiderick just had a good run on him. Maybe Lopez made a mistake. Wouldn't be the first time that we've seen that from Coque Lopez. Let's see whether he's going to be able to turn things around and get himself back ahead of Swiderick then. Coming out of the final corner over the timing line we go. Lopez goes to the inside. He's got the advantage of the slipstream on Swiderick. He's not going to defend too much. Here is Swiderick side by side to the first corner. Later on the brakes there for Lopez, and back once again into the race leaders. We're side by side for 3rd position as well between Salazar and Valerio Gallo. No quarters given between these two. The Portuguese driver on the inside coming in towards the chicane. Surely he's going to have track position. He's already ahead before the braking zone. Salazar now through into 3rd ahead of Valerio Gallo.
There's a bit of an unwritten rule there. If the car in front of you has a bumper or more ahead of you going to chicane, you sort of just let him have it, because otherwise you're going to have a big crash going into the first part of that chicane. So I think what happened there in the straight last time around with Swiderick and Lopez is just what we saw there, but the other way around, the reverse, the slipstream move down to T1. And of course those guys are being clever. They're sort of working together. Swindler didn't fight for too much. He let Lopez through. They're trying to get away from these guys. Salazar, Gallo, Swillow and Beauvoir as well. He's now about a second behind Adam Swillow. I've been watching him, of course, as he comes through the field. Oh, here's Mangano and Garnier. Good to see Garnier back, by the way. It's been a while since we've seen him. And he's come back fighting. Past Mangano, he goes up into 9th place. Mangano having a not a great race so far. He needs to be up further up the field if he wants to have a chance of taking this championship. And he knows that already, coming back on the offensive as we come up now at the top of the course. Turn 12, chucks it up the inside. There you go, Mangano back up to 9th.
Go on, Giorgio, fantastic stuff. Loris Garnier there trying to fight his way back through. You can see there, as we look back from Mangano now through into 9th position, this is very exciting stuff. The thing is, they've got to be a bit careful, because all the while they're squabbling amongst one another, look at the gap to Christopher Malky in P8, now up to 1 second, and that might leave Mangano on the back foot into the mid stages of this race. It might put him out of contention for fighting for potentially a top 5 finish here.
Yeah, Mangano there booting it out of that second and last corner. You love to see that. That's a man who knows what's at stake at the moment. Here comes Garnier again up the inside. Again, I think Mangano will likely let him have it. I say that, he's really squeezed him to the inside. This is where you have to work together here, because look what happens. Here comes Joe in that Aston Martin. He's going to have a run now on both of these guys. Garnier's on the inside. Again, Mangano, they're going to have tucked back in behind each other. You just do not want to be going 2 by 2 through here, because it's just a big crash. That's what happens if you try and do that. Great onboard view from Mangano, and just tapping the wall there on exit, slowing him down. Now look at his mirrors. Is Jones in the position to make a move there? No, he's not. But Jones, bear in mind, on that hard combat tyre, both the Joneses behind now, but A Jones on the hard combat.
Yeah, Matthew Jones now ahead into P11. So he makes his move stink there. That's going to get nice and confusing for us as commentators. 2 Joneses competing in this race. Not sure if there's any relation there between them, but it is a relatively common surname in Britain, so we'll assume it's not. Meanwhile, back to the battle for the podium. Valerio Gallo now all over the rear bumper of Carlos Salazar, trying to find his way through on the inside. Here we go. Later on the brakes, does he find his way through? Very close between them. Gallo, though, is ahead of Carlos Salazar. That was nice and clean there from Valerio Gallo, if quite aggressive. And now he has got a little bit of clear track in front of him, but the thing is, how long is that clear track going to be in front of him? Because we know what a powerhouse that Aston Martin is in the straight line, and with the advantage of the slipstream that Salazar will have, I doubt it will be clear track in front of Gallo for too long.
No, he'll probably get the move made in him here, coming down to T1 again. Gallo knows better than to defend it too aggressively. So there goes Salazar up the inside in that Aston Martin. Great to see it back, of course. Great to see it competitive as well, as Gallo is not quite ready to relinquish the 3rd position. He's going to try and carry the speed round the outside. They're using all the curb there, just trying to carry the speed on exit. Salazar, I think, does have the move made though, and this is going to be a bit frustrating for Gallo and for Salazar. They want to try and go after the guys in 1st and 2nd and not squabble too much for 3rd and 4th. Here we are on board with Adam Swillow. Fantastic camera to get an idea of the speed these guys take through the chicane of death, or chicane of life in the reverse configuration. Coming out down to T6, nice wide entry. Clip the apex and exit, use a little bit of curb. Don't run over though on the edge though. You run the risk of doing a 50-50 slide down there and slowing yourself down. Here is Salazar looking back there. Great shot back from the rear wing. And you're seeing now just how much Gallo closes up in the slipstream. We go down the hill. It's not really a place to pass down here. It's one at a time, really. But if you get a good run off the exit here, you can have a run up to turn 12 at the top.
Joe, the man on the move is, the man right at the back of this one is Baptiste Beauvoir. He was fastest in the 1st sector. Back to that in a moment, because here comes Valerio Gallo trying to attack against Salazar. The Portuguese driver defends, holds on to 3rd position, but keep an eye out for Beauvoir in that Aston Martin. The V12 Vantage in the background will be ready to pounce, I'm sure of it, before the end of this lap on Adam Swillow, who's doing a good job of holding firm here so far. But is Beauvoir going to send it? Not quite at the moment, but certainly signalling his intentions and crucially keeping a constant pressure on Adam Swillow. Now onto this straight is where things are going to get quite interesting, because of course Swillow has got a slipstream in front thanks to Valerio Gallo, but Beauvoir with that V12, I wonder if he's going to be able to find his way through here. Well, you can see in the forefront of your shot as well, looks like Gallo and Salazar are going side by side. Indeed they are for the 3rd position in this race. Up the inside we go. Swillow's on the inside of Salazar as well, as he's sent to lose 2 places in the space of a corner, and Swillow being handed a penalty. Oh, the Britain's luck is absolutely rotten, and sadly he is going to massively lose out here. He allows Beauvoir to go through there so as to not hold him up. He's fighting for a title, Swillow is not, because Swillow is of course going to lose those 2 seconds very shortly and drop right down the order.
Yeah, well, the Chevrolet's him pretty much out the race now, so goodbye Adam Swillow. We'll hit the penalty line just coming out of this T6 here, and then serve 2 seconds, which is an eternity when you're trying to catch his guys there. He's now gone. There you go. That's the end of Adam's competitive race, which is say he's still in it, but not in this sort of fight here. So then there were three: Gallo, Salazar, and Beauvoir. And Beauvoir, we have a smile on his face right now. Just one more gifted position for him. Can he now make it two better and get past Valerio Gallo? Of course, Gallo is his main championship contender. He'll want by him as quick as possible. Been a great race so far for Carlos Salazar. I've got to say, he's a lot higher up than we've seen him in recent races, up into P4 at the moment. Not to, of course, any words against Carlos. He's a very quick guy, but just not quite had the pace in the last few races here, though. He's right at the sharp end. Yeah,
Great to see for Carlos Salazar as well. Just having a look at some of his stats. 61 races he's competed in, 5 wins, 17 top 5 finishes. And he's led 68 laps over the course of this 2020 season, and he's doing a really good job of holding off the pressure of Baptiste Beauvoir. But for how long is that pressure going to be on the Portuguese driver? Down in towards that first corner we go. You can see Salazar just moving over, under braking there, taking the tighter line in as they're going to compromise his exit out of the corner. Is he going to allow Beauvoir an opportunity to close up? He's looking very close here as Beauvoir coming into the tunnel. It's very close between them. Gallo's on the defensive now as Salazar trying to find his way through. Gallo moves swiftly back over before they come into the chicane. One at a time through there, fellas. Keep it on the straight and narrow, but they're just running so close to one another, and this is what we love to see, is just really close. Fair racing. Here's Beauvoir sending it up the inside of Salazar into the hairpin we go. The Frenchman is through into P4 then. Textbook stuff there from Beauvoir.
Gorgeous. He just hung on the apex just long enough to make sure Carlos didn't get a good run out of there. He'll have the inside here, so he should have the position made. The car's trying to get back at him. No, Beauvoir swopes in there, up into 4th place. Nice move there from Beauvoir. Here is in front as well, Salazar. So this is interesting now, because Baptiste Beauvoir has gone from 10th on the grid up into 4th position. This is a fantastic run for him. Salazar, though, trying to come back at him. No, not quite going to get that move made. Now, Baptiste Beauvoir, what's your goal now? You can see Gallo, you can see Smith, you can probably see Lopez too. Does he have the pace to get up to the front?
One wonders really whether Baptiste Beauvoir, if he qualified in a higher position, how much better he would be faring in this race. As it goes, he's been just recovering really and having a bit of damage limitation from the get-go. Doing a good job.
Limitation though.
He's doing well.
He'll be under attack there from Salazar coming down the straight. We've seen this so many times. You're passing the infield, get the hard bit done, and then the guy comes back at you on the main straight. Malkia, first one, medium runners to pit, by the way. He's just coming to the pit lane now, the Swedish driver. As Beauvoir a little bit wide through the first corner. Come on, Baptiste, don't give it away. You just earned it. There you go. Just about going to keep ahead now. But the thing is, you can see how impatient Baptiste was getting on the last lap. He was having a look into the chicane last time around. He's got air on the side of caution a little bit. We know that Baptiste can get pretty aggressive when he's feeling like he's been wrong with the red mist descends. So hopefully now he's calmed down a little bit. He's in a good position right now, but no, he's in a better position. Coque Lopez, 2 seconds now is a gap. Back to Swiderick in second.
Lapping half a second faster than the Polish driver as well is Coque Lopez. This is brilliant, and this is exactly what he needs for his championship charge if he's to carry on performing in the same way. Let's see how it goes though. Lap 8 out of 20 we're on. Still 12 laps to go here in this one, so still anything that can happen. We've got pit stops of course to come. Difference in strategies between these drivers there as well. And I'm keen to see whether anybody is going to opt for a different strategy to try and leapfrog a driver, get an undercut or an overcut perhaps. Let's see what is going to happen. Meanwhile, just looking a little bit further down the order, Giorgio Mangano down there in 8th place hasn't made much of an impression indeed on this race, or much of an impression in the qualifying session there either. And it's kind of in no man's land here really. Not performing as well as we've seen him do in previous events, and I wonder why that is. Maybe he's just not as comfortable with the car and track layout. We have seen that happen before.
Yeah, I mean that's a common occurrence. You have favourite cars and favourite tracks as a driver, but Mangano, these races matter. These are the ones where he needs to be in that top 4 really, and he's just not there right now. So someone else spitting in right now, Baptiste Beauvoir is going to try and attempt the undercut, it seems, going for a fresh set of medium tyres. No fuel would have went in there at all, so now it's just try and get a little bit of free air and try and do a hot lap. And he's come out, just behind Giorgio Mangano. He will be kicking himself for that, because now he's going to have his undercut pretty much just deleted by the fact that Mangano is in front of him. Unless he can get by coming, he's going to try it. I think he's going to go for it. He does not want to hang around. He's going to go for the inside here. Mangano's probably not going to give it to him. Baptiste Beauvoir just asserting his dominance there, chucking it up the inside of Giorgio Mangano. He goes, I'm not waiting for you, mate. I've got fresh tyres. I'm trying to chase these guys down. There's no chance I'm sitting behind you through the chicane. Back up to 6th he goes, and that was a move he needed to make.
Absolutely, he would have felt like he won the lottery but lost the ticket as soon as he came out behind Giorgio Mangano out of the pit lane there, but quickly dispatched of the Italian driver. Now has a bit of clear track in front of him to try and make that undercut work. The likes of Gallo, Swideric, Salazar have all got to make their first pit stop in this race, and they are battling for very similar positions to Beauvoir, so this could prove to be very inspired from the Frenchman. He's on fresher rubber, can get the hammer down crucially now as well, and set some very fast sector times, whereas these guys in front of him are of course on very clapped out now medium tyres. So let's see whether they come into the pit lane this time around or whether they decide to eke it out a little bit longer. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen, because difference in strategies does always come into play. But let's see what's going to happen here.
So Beauvoir there through the second sector, almost a second quicker than the guys ahead of him through the second sector there. So this could be a fantastic move. Lopez responds, as does Swideric, as does Gallo, as does Salazar. These are the guys he's trying to beat, so we'll see where they come out. We'll watch for Baptiste Beauvoir. We'll check him out as he comes out the pit lane. So out comes Salazar. There's Lopez. Look back a little bit. Where is Baptiste? There's Swideric. And there he is. There you go. What a move there from Baptiste Beauvoir. Jumps Gallo and Salazar in the pit lane. And now he's going to go after Swideric. So is he going to go for the same move twice?
Surely
He's looking
not.
up the inside. You know what? He's aggressive. He might go for it. No, he thinks better this time. But it's definitely worked out for Beauvoir. Sorry, I wrongly said he jumped Carlos in the pit lane. He already passed Carlos, of course. But Beauvoir there jumping Gallo. And Gallo is thinking, oh, bother.
Or whatever the equivalent to bother in Italian is. Quite. Well, Beauvoir looking inspired here, and this is a very impressive performance. You can see Coque Lopez there, of course, has also made that stop. These guys have got one lap fresher rubber, of course, so coming towards the end of this stint, they will be in a little bit of a better shape compared to Baptiste Beauvoir, but that's not to say that it's over and done with here. The crucial question is, but can Beauvoir get himself ahead of Swideric? If he can, is he going to be able to close that gap down? Here he's going to go for it then. Ready, we go into the left-hander, side-by-side. He pulls on the brakes, up the inside for Beauvoir, and through into second place. The next target, Coque Lopez, 2.7 seconds down the road.
What a drive so far from Baptiste Beauvoir, up to second place after a terrible qualifying session. He's ahead of both of his rivals. Coque Lopez now is the only one really in any sort of contention in this four-way fight we've got for the end of the championship. But Baptiste is showing why he is currently leading the standings, and now he's going to chase down the Spaniard in front. And Coque Lopez will be looking at his relative and go, where have you come from? Why are you second? You made a stop as well. What? You know, he'll be completely just flabbergasted by that. The thing is, though, this is what might happen to Swideric. Chucked one up the inside there. He was really slow on the apex, so I doubt he's going to get by. He might even allow Gallo past as well there, but this is what might happen now. Beauvoir is going to come under attack from Swideric, from Gallo, and that might be what Coque Lopez needs to drive this to the line.
Like a dog on a polished floor out of that corner, wasn't he? Just sliding all over the place as he tried to get on the power and get some traction out of those rear tyres, but they were crying no more. Thankfully didn't lose out to Valerio Gallo, sends it down the inside. Late move there from Valerio Gallo, up through into third position goes the Italian driver, and this of course is crucial for his charge here in the title race there as well. Hugely impressive stuff from Valerio Gallo. So Swideric goes backwards, Beauvoir and Gallo ascending up on lap 11 here. Now this is getting very interesting indeed, because 3 out of the 4 title protagonists are sitting in the top 3 positions.
Yeah, brilliant block pass there by Gallo. Got past Swideric and just stopped on the apex, saying, nope, you aren't going to get the cut back, up to third place. And that's basically Gallo responding, going, oh, guess I've got to go chasing now, haven't I? So that's what he's doing. And Gallo again has been one of the faster drivers we've seen this season, someone who's just improved massively. We've said that a lot of times, I know, but I cannot stress enough just how much he's come on as a driver, especially in terms of just out and out pace. This is a man before who we usually saw around the mid-pack at best, and now he's been challenging for the lead and for the win at pretty much every race we've commentated on. It's been a fantastic rise for Valerio Gallo, but now he's going to have to deal with Swideric, who's going to probably try and come back at him, coming down to T1. He's hoping he won't, of course. He wants to try and get on and chase Beauvoir as quick as he can. We're on board now with Swideric. Will he go for the same move with Beauvoir? No, I think he's learned my Aston can't do that, he says. So he just slots back in and is going to stay behind Gallo for now.
Sensible stuff there from Martin Swiderick. Lot to lose and not a lot to gain if he sends it down the inside through into that corner. Just looking at the lap times here, Beauvoir fastest overall last time around at 1:37.6. That's the same lap time as Coque Lopez, so those two lapping relatively similar to one another, but certainly Beauvoir is the man to keep an eye out for, to see if he can close that gap down in the remaining 7.5 laps here.
It's going to be tricky. The thing is, bear in mind, Beauvoir's got 1 lap older tyres, a medium compounder tyre, and in the top right there you can see 7 times tyre wear. So he's got 7 laps worth more of wear than the guys in front of him, if you kind of scale it that way. It's not confusing, trust me. So he's going to be struggling a bit towards the end of the stint, and that might mean, because of course the hard tyre is mandatory, as it is in these races, he might have to go onto the hard tyre 1 lap earlier, unless he can stretch it. The thing is, do you chase now and go for the win, or do you consolidate second place and get those tyres there?
It's a weighing up battle, isn't it? I have to say, by the way, just having a look further down the order, Giorgio Mangano, who's in 9th position, has opted for a different strategy. As you can see, he's out on the hard tyre in the mid-stint here, which might seem a little bit strange, and it does seem a little bit strange to Jimmy Broadbent, who I can see gesticulating to my right.
I don't think that's it. Honestly, I think that he's going to be losing time there, because unless he's going to go to the end, which he might well try and do, any time on this hard tyre now that isn't essentially a lap is wasted. Unless he comes in at the end of this lap, then it might work out. But I don't. Let's see what he does. Here is Mangano. Will he peel into the left hand and come into the pit lane? No. I don't know what he's doing there.
Trying to go for a fast stint on the mediums towards the end of this one, but he's just going to be hemorrhaging time at the moment. I have to say, by the way, here comes Tapai, by the way, down the inside of Mangano. This is going to be an easy picking for Tapai on the medium combative tyre through into 9th place. But shout out, by the way, to Matt Jones in 8th position. He's made up 7 positions off the start. He's a little bit out of position because a couple of drivers around him have made their second pit stop. But either way, before that, he was up at least 5 positions off his starting position on the grid. So that is very impressive there for Jones. You can just see him gracing the wall on the outside, but looking comfortable here, and nice to see him doing so well, the faster of the Jones names drivers here in this race.
Second and third very close right now, Baptiste, Beauvoir and Gallo. Gallo's actually got past Beauvoir, so there you go, he just missed that coming out at the bottom there, must have got by coming through the chicane and he's got a good run through there, so great move there from Gallo that unfortunately we missed, but he's passed now Beauvoir, and this is again very, very important for this championship. Gallo, of course, needs to beat Beauvoir in essentially every race that's coming up to this point, so it's going to be now a straight fight to the end. Again, this is great for Coque Lopez too. He's out front. He's Gallo's teammate, both Williams drivers, of course. There is Beauvoir looking to try and get back by again, coming into the left-hander. He'll outbrake him, go up the inside. No, he won't. Gallo chops the nose of Beauvoir into the chicane. He has the right to do that every day of the week. Slows him down, but of course that means now Beauvoir's going to have a draft all the way down to T1, and that's almost a free pass.
Let's see what happens then. Gallo is already on the back foot. You can see Beauvoir had such a supreme exit coming out of that final corner. Gallo goes defensive, but I think it's going to be in vain, because even before the braking zone, Beauvoir is going to be ahead, but Gallo's going to go later on the brakes up the inside. He tries to go back through on Baptiste Beauvoir. Side by side they go on corner exit. Beauvoir shuffled out onto the curb. There's no traction out there though, my friends, but he still manages to get good drive, and the Frenchman maintains position ahead of Valerio Gallo then. So that was a move that was set up at the final corner. Great run out of there, and he was able to hold his way around the outside of the first corner. That's mightily impressive from Beauvoir.
His exit for the start-finish line was almost his undoing, actually. He had such a good exit, he didn't have the draft all the way down to T1. It happens sometimes, but Gallo, of course, definitely not defeated. Beauvoir back by for now. Of course, their fighting is allowing Coque Lopez a little bit of breathing room. The gap is still around 2.7 seconds. That hasn't really changed that much. In fact, last time around, Valerio Gallo had the best lap of the race, a 1:37.2. which that is extremely fast for this point in the race. So of course, just the competition in the EMEA region is, I think, unmatched, I think.
It's just brilliant, isn't it? We're used to seeing drivers running nose to tail throughout the entirety of the race, and that's pretty much what we're seeing up and down the field. Okay, a few groups have splintered off, as you can see there, the duo of Beauvoir and Gallo battling, likewise Swiderick and Salazar a little bit further back, squabbling for position here as well. But there is always racing up and down the field wherever you look. Meanwhile, Coque Lopez still sits 2.7 seconds ahead of these guys battling for position, and you can't underestimate what Coque Lopez has done. I wonder whether he might have thrown it all away when Swiderick found his way through in the opening few laps. but he's been able to just look nice and calm and confident here.
Gallo and Beauvoir again. Beauvoir this time, and Gallo, they're fighting coming down in the T1. Of course, these guys are super close, and Gallo's going to try and defend the position. Actually, he's back by from Beauvoir, I should say. Sorry, had the draft. It was his turn there to overtake. Neither can break away, it seems, in the background as well. Salazar and Swiderick are fighting, so it's still squabbling. With only got 6 laps to go, or 5.5 laps to go, I should say. Swiderick's on the inside here. He's going to take the place. Salazar has to back out of that. Again, 2x2 doesn't work, unless you Baptiste Beauvoir, apparently. It sometimes does. But there is Beauvoir and Gallo. This is a great place to overtake here if you're close enough. Beauvoir is not. So what Gallo needs to do now to get away is to just break about half a second, 0.6 of a second. That's about what you need to get down to T1 first. That's what Gallo needs to do.
How easy is it to get that half a second, 0.6 of a second?
I mean, against Baptiste Beauvoir, I wouldn't try him. I wouldn't fancy it. I mean, especially for this mid-section here, that Aston seems mighty over these curbs. Just using the curb to hook the car around, such a cool technique when you get it right as well. And the draft all the way up the hill here, see 0.3 of a second. Gallo had a better exit there, so not quite close enough to send one here either. Well, quite a few second spots around here at Dragon Trail, actually. It's you know, usually you have circuits where you only have 1 or 2 spots. This one seems to be ripe with opportunity.
Yeah, I love this circuit. It always provides great racing, whatever layout it's in, whether it's in the forwards layout or the reverse layout like we're using here. And you can see Beauvoir there still very close indeed to Valerio Gallo. My only concern, of course, is that his tyres are a lap older than Valerio Gallo. So I just wonder whether that's going to come and haunt him in the closing stages of this one. You're gesticulating your arms wildly saying, no, you don't think so, I guess.
Tell you what, he wouldn't be worried about it. so don't you worry about it. That's what I'll say. He'll be just sending it until the thing doesn't work anymore. So there is Beauvoir trying the long way around. Now he's going to try and cut back, get a run coming up the chicane. Hasn't quite got the traction to do so. That Toyota off the corner is mighty, it seems here. And again, we're having Salazar versus Swiderick, and in the foreground as well, we're having Beauvoir versus Gallo. Beauvoir's looking up the inside. I can just about see it. He's gone for it. He's gone for it. The chicane, he's gone by. Mr. Producer. that's the first time we've missed that now. And Beauvoir goes back up into second place. And again, you see him. He's intimidating people through there. He's going up there, he's saying, well, I've got a nose. I'm not backing out. If we don't back out, we're going to crash.
In fairness to our director, I have to say, Beauvoir's being quite unconventional when he's passing places, so he's probably caught off guard by it. But Beauvoir is just doing an unbelievable job. Like you say, just intimidating these drivers, keeping the pressure on them, forcing those mistakes, and just pouncing when they're least expecting it.
Yeah, I mean, when that's against your main championship rival as well, that's a big psychological win. But here's Gallo now. You see, he's just much better for this section here. Will he go for it up the inside? Don't think he will. He's a little bit too far back. But he'll be waiting now, Gallo. He knows, well, I can get him on the straight. I'll get him on the straight then. I'll just do that. Guess what, though? Coca Lopez, 3.5 seconds now. This could be Coca Lopez, his first superstar win that I would have seen.
I believe in 2020. It's definitely the first in stage 3.
At least, definitely.
Yeah, definitely the first in stage 3 for sure. But it's just unbelievable. I mean, if you look at some of his online stats, he's taken 7 wins in the total of the online season so far out of the only 39 Nations Cup races he's completed in. Meanwhile, here comes Beauvoir into the pit lane, then Gallo doesn't follow him through.
Really early.
I wonder if he was trying to sell him a dummy there.
That's super early. His tyres must be done, so I would have thought he would have gone a bit. This might be the undoing of Beauvoir. I was thinking he might go at least a lap or 2 longer. Now, what we need to see really this to work for Beauvoir is for Lopez, Gallo, Salazar, Malky, Collin, and all those guys to come in and put the hard tyre on at the end of this lap. If that doesn't happen, then that could be the second place gone for Beauvoir.
Well, time will tell. Sergio Fonseca, the second of the Portuguese drivers, down in 16th position, comes into the pit lane. He's on the harder compound of tyre as well, following the same strategy as Baptiste Beauvoir, but of course, as you can tell, significantly further down the order. And just by the way, even if you are a little bit further down the order, the likes of Calderon, Rodriguez, Jones, etc.
Man, he's in this race. I didn't know that.
He is. He's been somewhat anonymous, but just to not do them a discredit, just to get to these top 16 superstars races is a huge achievement in itself. So big congratulations to all of our drivers. And just because they're not fighting at the sharp end for the race victories does not mean they are not quick at all. Because they are exactly that. They are rapid.
They are, but no prizes for outside the top 3. So
no pleasing Jimmy Broadbent either.
I mean, we're all drivers really. You know, we know that we want to have a good race, but if they're 14th, 15th, that'll upset them. You know, as much as saying to them, well, you did your best, they'll tell you to go and do one probably. But here's Beauvoir. Now, has he gone for the hard tyre too early? He pitted earlier than everybody else for the undercut. He's gone to the hard tyre earlier than everybody else, which you know is sort of, you avoid the hard tyre like the plague. Coca Lopez going for another lap. What will Gallo do? Gallo comes into the pits. Okay, so he may have got away with this, Beauvoir. Let's see if that medium tyre for Gallo was enough, or held on enough to keep him ahead of Beauvoir. So here comes Beauvoir down the pit straight. Where's Gallo? There he is up the pit lane now. Just on the left end, Beauvoir gets the move done. So making that hard tyre work, switching it on very quickly. Hard to do with that tyre, takes a while to warm up. And there he goes back up into 4th place, which is probably a next second, depending on what Malky does here.
Look at that swarm of cars behind as well. An absolute train, all battling for position. Swinderick versus Salazar, that's been a battle that we've not been able to stop talking about all race, and they continue squabbling on for position. Coming through to that chicane, look at Gallo trying to get heat into his tyres, trying to get himself back past Beauvoir. Is he going to send it down the inside into his favourite passing spot? Oh, he's trying, but he's not quite close enough on the corner exit there. Beauvoir, despite being on the curve, had better traction with Gallo's hard tyres perhaps not being up to their optimum working range, and he's just able to hold off the Italian for now.
Tell you what, Beauvoir does just not give an inch, does he? I mean, anyone else would have probably rolled over and let Gallo had that. Beauvoir said, well, no, mate, you're going to hit me before I give you the position. And then Gallo, of course, is aware of a potential penalty, has to turn in early, get off the throttle, and again there, he had a look, he thought about it, just didn't quite go for it though. Start thinking, Valerio, you know, you've got the straight coming up, you've got the draft. If you can get by there and put away, you might have, there might be something in it though. But let's see what our leaders do. So Coco Lopez is just coming by the start-finish line now. Will he come into the pits? Yes, he does. He comes in for that hard compounded tyre. He will come out in the lead unless something's gone horribly wrong on that lap. I don't think it has. Malky will come in again, I imagine, for the hard tyre. He does the Swede in. Where will he come out though on the hard compound? Will he be able to pick up a couple of places, I wonder?
He's been close, hasn't he, Malky, to these top 5, but not quite close enough to mount a charge. Here comes mounting a charge, Valerio Gallo down the inside of Beauvoir at turn 1. So this is deja vu once again in this race. Gallo now is back through into 2nd position, Beauvoir down into 3rd. But look at the swarm of cars behind. I was just mentioning that. We'll come back to that. Here we go into the chicane. Is Beauvoir going to try and send it around the outside to the chicane? What a move from Beauvoir! He clips the wall on the outside. That's going to compromise his exit though, and Gallo's going to be right up his back bottom, coming in towards the hairpin we go, up the inside for Valerio Gallo on the penultimate lap, through back into 2nd place. But look at Adam Tapine, look at Carlos Salazar and Martin Swinderick, they're coming into this battle here as well.
All these guys are thinking of right now is this is for the championship. There's only a couple of races left here, and Gallo is defending hard from Baptiste Beauvoir. Now he's got the move made, but Beauvoir there, I mean, balls of steel, that man, chucking it through the chicane round the outside. It just intimidating Gallo almost to the, so you know, we are going to crash if you don't move, and he got that move made. Fantastic, you love to see that stuff. But Gallo, of course, with that draft, able to get back by. We've only got a lap and a half left of this race, and of course down the main straight we're probably going to see Beauvoir get by on the slipstream. So it's become a high-speed game of chess now. Will he go for the inside? No, he's opting to wait. He knows as well as we do that he can use that draft down the straight, get up in the slipstream, pull on by Gallo, and then try and defend to the end of the race.
So here we go then, he's in the slipstream, coming on to the start-finish line to start the final lap of the race. Gallo's going to defend, but it's going to be in vain surely, because Beauvoir has got a fantastic run coming over the line and heading down to the first corner. He's going to try and hold it on the inside of the brakes, is Gallo. Beauvoir tries to get the long way round the outside. They run door handle to door handle, wing mirror to wing mirror. Beauvoir still holds it on the outside to Valerio Gallo. Into the tunnel we go, and Beauvoir is now ahead of the Italian.
Now Gallo knows he's not going to be able to get by Beauvoir here. There's no way he'll let him go, so he's going to have to try and set it up for the exit here. Get a good run. He does get a good run, but he's compromised by Beauvoir being so slow on exit now. Gallo's going to surely have to look to the inside. Beauvoir covers it off. Whoa. Gallo chucks out the inside, but there is contact between the two. Beauvoir is off as a 3-second penalty for Valerio Gallo. Oh, just a misjudged move there and contact, and just like that, the race is over. Hates to see a penalty decider.
Well, is it going to be championship over for Valerio Gallo, let alone the race? Adam Tapie is now through into 2nd place. Beauvoir, the red mist will have descended here for the Frenchman, because he is going to be trying to find his way back past the Hungarian driver. Salazar in the mix there as well in 4th position. Gallo is going to be sick as a parrot with that 3-second penalty to serve at the end of this race, coming down through into the penultimate series of corners we go, and it's going to be a drag to the line surely for Beauvoir versus Tapie. Look in the background there as well, as Malky was right on the back
second. Marcin Swideric coming down this straight we go. Into the left-hander, late on the brakes with Tapai. Here's the penalty about to be served for Valerio Gallo. That's going to drop him right out of contention and really compromise his result in this race and his championship charge. He moves off the racing line, he drops down to P7, but it's a run for the line. Over the line comes Coque Lopez to take the win. It's side by side for second, and Tapai is surely going to take it, but Beauvoir gets it on the line. He takes it on the line, does the Frenchman ahead of Adam Tapai. Salazar finishes fourth, Swideric in fifth. What a fantastic race to the end there in the Nations Cup. Hugely exciting action. Big congratulations to Coque Lopez for taking that win, and Baptiste Beauvoir gets second on the line ahead of Adam Tapai.
I feel a little bit sorry for Coque Lopez, actually. He drove the perfect race, had a fantastic finish, and of course he was just overshadowed really by the massive squabble going on behind him. But Coque Lopez, I think, for us anyway, his first victory in a Superstars race that we've seen in 2020 in this season, and when he needs it most.
5.2 seconds ahead of Baptiste Beauvoir. He was in a different postcode, wasn't he? There was Coque Lopez. Baptiste Beauvoir, you've got to feel sorry for him for that contact on the final lap, but he really made good. That drag to the line with Tapai was calculated and it was perfectly executed from him. Adam Tapai down there in third place, but the man who is going to be sick as a parrot finished down in ninth position, Valerio Gallo. The results speak for themselves.
Yeah, a real shame for Gallo, really. Just that one mistake. Imagine having an entire race and then just misjudging one move and then getting slapped for a 3-second penalty. It is what it is. It's a real shame that the race had to end that way for Gallo. I was really hoping we'd have a run to the line as we got with Beauvoir and Tapai there, but Gallo, he needed a good result there, and that is not a good result.
Well, what an amazing race we saw there in the Top 16 Superstars Nations Cup one. And, of course, the man who I think will be grinning like a Cheshire cat after that one, so to speak, Baptiste Beauvoir. Baptiste, I mean, an amazing race for you. How are you feeling after finishing second place, especially after that very hectic final lap?
Yeah, that was a fantastic race. I was very unlucky during the qualifying. My lap time wasn't good. Didn't have the slipstream, so yeah. When I saw a start in 10th, I was a little bit angry, of course. But at least I finished second. So what a result! It's very, very good for me. I continue to win some points for the leaderboard, so it's good. I'm very happy. Very.
Well, your main contender, of course, Valerio Gallo, who you were fighting with the entire race. It was brilliant seeing you guys go side by side in the chicane. Had that contact with you, of course, on the final lap, and then 3-second penalty put him down in ninth position. Of course, you never want to win that way, but that's good for your championship, right? Him in ninth.
Yeah, it's true. I'm sorry for Valerio. He did very well tonight too. Yeah, of course he hit me, but at the end I saw he let me go. So it's a good move by him. So thanks Valerio for that, mate. Well, so I saw he got a 3-second penalty. I think about that he finished 7th. So yeah, he was unlucky. I know he tried something. It was probably his last possibility to overtake me. But it's fine. Anyway, we did a very good battle, like always. So congrats to Valerio. He is unlucky tonight, but congrats.
Well, Baptiste, merci beaucoup for your time. Thank you very much. Good luck for manufacturers. We'll let you go and practice for that. But congratulations on your finish today, and we'll hopefully be speaking to you very soon.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Bye-bye.
Good stuff. Nice to hear there from Baptiste Beauvoir, a man who I think is in good spirits, I think it's fair to say.
Well, why wouldn't you be after that, you know, from going so far down the grid up into second place, and of course your main contender, Gallo, ninth position, which you said before, that's going to be a big boost to his championship. The only man really now who might be able to catch him is probably Coque Lopez with that win. What
do you make about the likes of Giorgio Mangano there, for example? I mean, he's a guy who needed to be on form today, and he just looked off colour.
This happens sometimes with Joy, doesn't it? One race he looks mighty, the next he just looks average. That's sort of how he looked. He just looked like he was not there today. Maybe someone else having issues in practice. We know some people not quite getting the time to practice right now, but that's how it is for Giorgio.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course, there's still one more race to go, though, isn't there, in the Manufacturers Series to come later on tonight, but also in the Nations Cup for round 30 next week. And that is where it's all going to be decided.
No pressure.
It's what we like, isn't it? Nations Cup action was brilliant here today. Manufacturers action to come very shortly. Let's see what happens. Round 24 of the top 16 superstars for the Manufacturers Series in the EMEA region is underway here at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway as Romero leads the field over, drivers weaving. Gallo, look at that.
Yeah, just sending it up the inside there, making that move early, ignoring what I was saying.
And Baptiste Beauvoir trying to make progress after qualifying down in 13th place. He's on the inside of Quentin Velasco. Up the inside goes the Frenchman. Thank you. It's only because you don't like my voice. Anyway, here comes Naldi battling for the podium in his first ever top 16 superstars race. The Frenchman sends it down the inside of the Czech driver Nikita Moisov.
But at the same time, these guys aren't fast. You see that flash of lights from Gallo saying, I'm coming through, mate, whether you like it or not, give me the line, or we're both going off. Senna style, as we come now for the second part of the course. He's not going to have one, he's going to have two. Rounding out on the Malky as well. Valerio Gallo making short work of these guys. Back up into second place.
No question over this man here. Valerio Gallo once again drives to perfection and drives to the line to take the win in the Manufacturers Series.
Well, there we go. That was last time out in the Manufacturers Series. Valerio Gallo will be hoping for a better result. I think we've just about got our breath back from that Nations Cup race.
Yeah, I think so. A bit of an opposite race to what we just had in Nations Cup, whereas Beauvoir didn't do well and Gallo sort of just smashed it. But of course, you've got to sort of reset yourself. It's a bit weird when you drive. Well, I'm just doing this track and this car, and I've got to do a different car class on this track, and that's part of being a GT driver. You've got to be able to just jump between things that quickly.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick breather before we get into the Manufacturers Series race. Have a look at the championship standings, which are on screen behind us. Valerio Gallo, as you can see, at the top of the pile, 2,946 points. Very close, though. Just 11 points back is Baptiste Beauvoir there in second position.
I like how Mick, who hasn't done a race
Still up there.
is still there in third place. Of course, our 2019 Nations Cup champion. But yeah, again, it's those two names, Gallo, Beauvoir, and they said this time Gallo's ahead. That Honda has been fantastic, I think they said. The Mercedes not quite had the same BOP, I think.
Well, that's in Group 3 trim. Today, though, for the Manufacturer Series, we're in Group 4 trim, aren't we? We're at the Suzuka circuit, a track that needs no introduction if you're a fan of motorsport. It's brilliant. Let's take a closer look at it, shall we, now, and just give you an idea of exactly what the Suzuka circuit entails. Of course, based in Japan, hosted the Formula 1 Grand Prix for many, many years, but for a few. Figure of 8 layout. It's just over 5.8 kilometres long. Jimmy, just talk us through this legendary circuit.
Well, I mean, you know, we've been here many times before. It's a fan favourite, one of my favourites too. But in a Group 4 car, I don't fancy these S's, I'll tell you that right now. Be a ton of understeer through there, not much air on these cars either. Best overtaking spot, probably down to the hairpin, maybe even down to T1 if you're feeling brave as well. Not much elevation change there, but one of the world's only figure of 8 circuits, and probably, I guess, the world's most famous figure of 8, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is one of the most legendary circuits in the history of motorsport. It's a bit of a tricky track to try and find your way past your fellow competitor, isn't it? You said down into the hairpin's a prime overtaking opportunity, but actually, Jimmy caught up with our good mate, Lucas Ordonez, a little bit earlier on today to find out the best places to get past your rival here.
So this is the place where I will try to overtake. Yeah, you see?
Well, it helps if I do that. Oh no! Cheeky boy. Well, hello guys, welcome back to the Gran Turismo studio. I am joined today by a very special guest. This is Lucas Ordonez, of course, GT Academy champ, Super GT driver, LMP1 driver, big list.
Hi Jimmy, how are you doing? Yeah, it's great to see you. Long time not seen.
It has been a long time. And today, Lucas is going to be using his vast experience as a racing driver to teach us the best places to overtake here at Suzuka, where our Manufacturers Cup is being held.
Well, my first race in Japan was in 2013, and it was a official test here. And then I raced full season in Japan in 2014, and then I did Formula 3 and Super GT 500 in 2015. So yeah, Suzuka is one of my favorite tracks in the world for sure.
Well, that's okay then, because I've done none of that. I've played some simulators, so I think you win. Where are you looking to overtake around here? Because it's not an easy track to overtake at, is it?
Yeah, Suzuka is really, well known as a very difficult overtaking track. The most interesting place for overtaking are definitely the hairpin and the chicane.
So Lucas, we're just going to set up now for the hairpin pass. So getting a good run out of Dunlop is important, but not as important as getting the run out of a second Degner though, because you've got to make sure you've got the overspeed.
Exactly, here this is really important to brake early, but have a good run through the exit curve. use the draft of your rival and then dive into the inside.
So I see you there. Don't want to give you the room.
Oh, that was tight.
That was a super GT pass, man.
With a little door-to-door, right?
So I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna come back at you now. I'm gonna fight you now to the end of the lap. Let's race to the line, Lucas.
Okay. Oh,
You can show me, Mr. Master Overtaker. Come on, head down. Come on, go. What about getting a good exit out of 130R through here? So I do that. I'm a little bit sluggish through that. I'm going to take my normal racing line, braking. Lucas brakes a little bit later than I do. Chucks it out of the inside, blocks the apex so I can't come back at him. And that there is just textbook class there, man.
Yeah, man, it was too easy.
Have you done this before? So that is how to overtake at Suzuka, as taught by Mr. Real Life Racing driver Lucas Ordonez. Lucas, great to see you, mate. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us a couple of tips.
Thank you, guys. It's been a pleasure, and hope to see you soon, guys. And let's enjoy Top 16 Superstars.
I got to say, it was really nice to get to talk with Lucas about track time. And of course, we've not been able to see each other, of course, like a lot of people in the world, for a long time. So it's nice to be able to have that little bit of a moment, even if it was basically just him sending it out the inside of me at every opportunity.
A true romance, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. Oh, Jimmy's
Lucas
so happy
Chan.
to be reunited with Lucas. Goodness me. Well, that is how to overtake at Suzuka. Let's take a look at a hot lap, though, shall we? And find out the best way to negotiate this circuit on a flyer, because, well, it's tricky at the best of times. You're threading the eye of a needle, and this is how to do it. Nicholas Romero shows us the way around. This is coming down the start-finish straight, heading in towards the aptly named first turn. Pick your braking point, pick your turning point, send it in through the first corner. Nice and easy on the outside through there. Smooth inputs of the steering are the name of the game here. Coming out to the right-hand side of the circuit before you flick it left into these never-ending S-bends. It's very much one at a time through here in race conditions, but you can, if you're brave, find your way through around the outside into this corner. But you really need to have commitment and trust in the other drivers around you. You can see Nicky there being very careful on the curb on the inside, not too wide through this corner, because if you run it wide, you're into the gravel trap and straight into the barrier. Now it's the run down in towards the two Degners. Into Degner 1, where's your braking point? At the 50-metre board. Turn it in very sharp. Nicely done through there. Down into the second Degner. You come under the next part of the circuit, a figure of 8 layout. The bit over the top is where it heads in towards 130R. Now into the hairpin. Hard on the brakes you go, very, very late. Shift it down the gearbox into second gear. Nice apex through there for Nicky. Gets it back on the low pedal once more, and then you're flat all the way for the run in towards the spoon curve. Keep it over towards the right-hand side of the circuit as you come under the advertising banner, and then you've just got to spot where your braking and your turning points are for the spoon curve. See the markers on the right-hand side, brake just before the 50-metre, chuck it into the corner and pray that it sticks. Bit of curb on the outside there, and hold it. Loads of lateral forces going through the outside front tyre. Get a good exit out of there, come through the penalty zone, and head down the straight in towards the fearsome 130R. This is a circuit that rewards commitment, and this is a corner that rewards the brave as well. Into 130R, does he lift? Ever so slightly there. These Group 4 cars not producing the same levels of downforce as we come in towards the chicane. Hard on the brakes at the 100-metre board, into the right, then flick it left, and then you've got the run to the line as it comes downhill. It's very easy to light up the rear tyres, especially as they get worn. Keep an eye out for that under race conditions. But that is a lap from Nicholas Romero of how to qualify here at Suzuka.
So then here is our format for the manufacturer's race here at Suzuka. We're in Group 4 cars today with racing hard tyres only, so no pit stops today. Well, we don't think so anyway. Fuel consumption at 2 times and tyre wear rate at 3 times, so tyres will be a little bit done by the time we get to the end of the race. Anyway, qualifying is over. Let's go to the grid.
16 drivers lined up on the grid at the start of the EMEA Manufacturers Series race. Group 4 cars available for our drivers. Coque Lopez in the BMW M4 starts from pole position. Alongside him on the front row, Valerio Gallo, a man who will be hoping for a better fortune in the Manufacturer Series compared to the Nations Cup. Likewise, Giorgio Mangano starts from P3 in the Lamborghini Huracan. P4 on the grid, Nikita Moistov, the Czech driver in the Aston V8 Vantage. P5 is Adam Tapai in the Ford Mustang, very stealth-looking black livery on his car.
P6, Nicolas Romero, who we saw that pole lap from just a few moments ago, or indeed that hot lap, I should say. Frober, the German driver in the Aston V8 Vantage, is P7. Alongside him is his fellow compatriot Krivchenko in the Porsche Cayman GT4. Just inside the top 10, Manu Rodriguez in the Audi TT Cup car. Alongside him on that road of the grid is Melvin Abraham Hagen in the Mazda Atenza. P11 on the grid, work to do for Baptiste Beauvoir. Wow, that's a very difficult day at the office for him. So far, he'll be hoping to turn his fortunes around, as will Zoka in the BMW M4. P13 is Squattrito, the Italian in the Alfa 4C, very apt Italian combination of cars there. Carlos Salazar as well. Well, he had a tricky qualifying, didn't he, down in P14. P15 is Buller in the second of the Audi TTs on the grid. And completing out 16 drivers is Sikaridis, the Greek driver in the Honda NSX. Now, the first thing to mention, of course, is Baptiste Beauvoir down in P11. What a difficult qualifying it's been here for Sim so far, Jimmy. He's not had a good time of it, and he's going to have a lot of work to do from outside the top 10.
No, especially considering that his main rival for the Manufacturer Series, Valerio Gallo, there is in second place on the grid. So he's making it very, very difficult for himself. We know Baptiste as well. He usually doesn't start very well from the back of the grid. He sort of made us eat our words back in the Nations Cup, though. So hopefully he can do the same here and get back up to challenge Gallo once the race gets going. But it'll be Coque Lopez that leads us off here for 16 laps at Suzuka.
So here is the Spaniard then, coming through into the final corner. 16 laps ahead of him and a clear road, crucially, at the start of this race. A rolling start, of course, means that it shouldn't be too dramatic into the first few corners, but it'll be interesting to see what happens over the course of this race. A straight sprint to the checkered flag. Round 28 of the EMEA Region Nations Manufacturer Series. Race gets underway as Lopez leads the field over the timing line, weaving there in the background for a few drivers trying to get heat into the tyres, as does Coque Lopez, as you can see as we ride on board with the Spaniard down towards that first turn. Valerio Gallo there in second position. Keep an eye out as well further back for the likes of Nikita Moisov, Adam Tapai as well, as they try to make some good ground going through the field. Here is Krivchenko then in P10, and there is Baptiste Beauvoir, who has got the red mist already descended at the start of this one, and he's putting a lot of pressure on the German driver as he tries to find his way through into the top 10 through those S-bends, but it's not worked out for him at all. A penalty there for Baptiste Beauvoir in the opening few corners. That is just going to compound what has been such a tough weekend for him.
I gotta say, that was a little competitive bump. I'm not sure why there's a 1 second penalty for that, but Beauvoir then having to suffer, of course, through, and that'll definitely put a dampener on the start of his race. Krivchenko in front will keep 10th place for now. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Coque Lopez and Gallo, the gap up to about half a second at the moment. We know Gallo likes to try and get to lead as soon as he can, so I'm sure we're trying to rectify that as he can. There are the first, second. That's already the gap there back to Giorgio Mangano. Right now, though, it's the Williams 1, 2, 3, so they won't be upset.
No, they certainly won't be at all. So coming down through in towards the spoon curb for the first time, you can see the fuel and tyre wear multipliers on the right hand side of your screen. ×2 for fuel, ×3 for tyre wear as we ride on board here with Valerio Gallo. You can hear the engine whirring away behind the wheel of that Honda NSX. Mid-engine car, this one, of course, compared to the front-engine BMW, and Lopez coming under pressure now from Valerio Gallo. He's got the advantage of the slipstream here, has the Italian driver coming in towards 130R, but Lopez is surely going to have the momentum to hold off the charge of him for a few more corners, maybe in towards the chicane. Lopez there just covering the line before they head in towards the braking zone. Not able to find his way through there is Valerio Gallo, but definitely looking, I'd say, a little bit quicker on this opening lap here.
Yeah, really benefit from the draft now. There's no runner behind Coque Lopez in that BMW, so he'll put out to the right-hand side now. Imagine if he's got the draft, he does. He'll try and make a move down into the first corner. They're side by side. I'm sure Coque Lopez won't fight it too much, given they are teammates. And Gallo goes up into the lead then. So Valerio Gallo already in the lead on lap 2. Meanwhile, his main rival, Baptiste Beauvoir, all the way down in 13th position.
Yeah, exactly that. So Baptiste Beauvoir, well, he will be very disappointed indeed. Lots of work then for him to do. Now, what about the likes of Giorgio Mangano? He's coming under pressure. Bit of a train forming behind him. It's a characteristic of this Suzuka circuit, just because it's so difficult to find your way past your fellow rival. riding on board we are here with the Italian. You can see the likes of Nikita Moisov, Adam Tapai, Nicolas Romero, Frober there as well in P7, all not too far adrift of the Italian, and if he's not too careful he's going to come under more pressure, and of course when you come under pressure you're more susceptible to making a mistake from the driver behind who is putting you under that pressure. Just how hard is it to find your way past here at this Suzuka circuit? I mean, Jimmy, you made it look quite easy with Lucas, to be honest.
Oh yeah, and that's because Lucas is a good driver, and I'm not, so we need to do it. But yeah, down on the hairpin, it's a great place to do it. We saw there as well, of course, even into 130R, if you have the draft, you can get someone's inside and sort of force them to let you through with that fast left-hander. But even if you can't get by there, a lunge into the chicane is another great place to get by. So there are a few places to pass around here, but the real talent comes to sort of setting it up early and making sure you're in a position to get that pass done. As soon as you can, Mangano, as you said, pressure, Tom. He put a wheel there, I think, on the exit of that spoon curve. We've seen how slippy it is out there. Mangano just touching it with his rear right wheel and getting the car sideways. That allows Moisov to fire the big train behind to catch him up. Mangano's on the outside now, as we're saying. Moisov there passing before 130R. That's what was if we plan that. As we go through here, there is Moisov. He'll try and now defend from Mangano. Will Mangano try and lunge back into chicane? No, but Tapei is thinking about it as well in the Ford. So, yeah, one mistake and Mangano finds himself swarmed by the cars behind.
Just having a look in the background there as well, I think Melvin Abraham Hagen was looking quite racy on the back, or in fact it may actually have been Johan Frober with Manu Rodriguez, those two running very close to one another. Nose to tail we run down this start-finish straight. There is Abraham Hagen behind the wheel of the Mazda. There is Frober as well with Rodriguez all over his rear wing as we head into the very aptly named first turn here at Suzuka. You can tell, inventive names for... It actually is genuinely called First Turn.
I thought you were just making it up.
No, I'm genuinely not.
Well, fair enough. I mean, yeah, those imaginative boys over there in Japan, it seems that 130R, you know, you've got to hand it to them. I don't think I can have that level of imagination. Anyway, here's Frober behind, or in front, I should say, of Manny Rodriguez. Now, he's in the lead Audi. We've seen the Audi being very quick around here in the hands of other drivers and other splits, etc., but not quite here, it seems. That Audi not quite having the same performance. Maybe Manny not quite getting the most out of it. Front-wheel drive, of course, that car, so it burned through its tyres, but maybe that or just being stuck behind the Aston Martin. If that thing isn't slow.
Frober's definitely a bit careful there. He was a bit wide on the odd track limits. Of course, it's automatically producing penalties here for these top 16 superstars races. They're all done in-game, essentially, whereas at our World Tour events, they're all live stewarded, so a little bit different for that. So if he does go off the track and exceeds track limits a few more times, then he'll get a half-second penalty or potentially a second-long penalty. So it could be a very, very unwelcome sight there for him if he continues that. Hopefully that's not the case. Meanwhile, this is not a welcome sight either for Nikita Moisov. Look at him with Giorgio Mangano, Adam Tapai, Nicolas Romero really close now. Coming out of the spoon curve, this is where they've got the advantage of the slipstream, whereas Moisov does not have that. Coque Lopez 2 seconds up the road in front, goes defensive there, comes over towards the left-hand side of the track as they head down in towards 130R. Giorgio Mangano very much closing now, trying to find his way through on Nikita Moisov. Look at how close he is, maybe into the chicane is where he can think about it, but Moisov covers him off, holds the line. Tapai versus Romero in the background as well. Very close indeed, as it looks like Moisov has got the move done. He's now ahead of Giorgio Mangano through that chicane. That was textbook stuff there for him, but Giorgio Mangano still trying to find his way through against the Czech driver.
We wouldn't have to do this, of course, if he didn't make that mistake. He would have been in that little bubble ahead. But right now, he's now having to squabble with these guys and just sort of put paid for any chance that he has of catching the top two. Wide there down at the first corner again. And of course, Adam Payne does not need inviting drive through there. He sticks the Mustang up the inside. That then becomes the outside for the first of yeses, which was definitely Mangano's saving grace there. But Mangano looking not very comfortable in that Lamborghini. It has to be said. He's looking like he's all over the shop.
Not the first time we've seen that either as well from him in the opening few laps. Seems to go backwards a little bit, and well, unfortunately my predictions we were talking about earlier on, I went for Valerio Gallo and Giorgio Mangano to do the business in these races. My predictions so far have been proven completely and 100% wrong. So Jimmy, if you've got the lottery numbers for next week, I'll take them.
That's because I'm just supremely intelligent, Tom.
Modest as well, that's one of your best characteristics.
That's how I wake up in the morning, that, and I can face it there, even if it's a little lie. But anyway, Mangano, Moisov still together on the track. You see Mangano there. We talk about overtaking to the hairpin. The problem is, if you're even a couple of attempts behind the guy in front of you, then it's not really going to work. These cars are good in the brakes, but they're not. They're not X amount better than the guy in front. So if you both try and brake at the same time, you're both going to make the corner. If you go, oh, I want to try and go 100 metre later, then you're going to end up in the gravel trap. So it's a little bit of controlled aggression here. Now Mango seems to have got it together again now. He's going to be in the draft all the way down to 130. Let's see then what that Lambo has in a straight line. This Aston Martin, of course, leading the pack. He's punching a hole in the air. So he'll be one without the slipstream right now. And it seems that Mangano just starting to close a little bit now. Moisov goes defensive to the inside of 130R, pulls back onto the racing line. We go through now 130R. Looking back there at Giorgio Mangano. Look how close he is now. Going for an attempt maybe to try and round the outside. That's not going to work, Giorgio, I don't think. No. Just backs out of it a little bit. Tries for the cutback. The thing is, there's only really one line for chicane, so that doesn't really work.
No, not at all there for Giorgio Mangano. He's been putting consistent pressure on Nikita Moisov, and fair play to Moisov as well, because he's not succumbed to that pressure. Coming through the final corner over the timing line we are now, and Moisov is very much on the back foot here. Can Giorgio Mangano find his way past? Look in the background as well. Here comes Mangano trying to go for the outside move into the first turn. He has to hold off just for a few more moments there, but Mangano looking very aggressive indeed here as he tries to get himself ahead of the Czech driver. Adam Tapai versus Nicolas Romero there we saw in the background. So this quartet of drivers squabbling for the final spot on the podium is getting very interesting. All the while they're doing that, of course, it's allowing Coque Lopez and especially Valerio Gallo to make such a gap out in front of this one. Gallo is consistently a couple of tenths of a second faster than Coque Lopez and a good half a second or so quicker than these drivers who are battling for this final position on the podium, and now they're 4 seconds clear of these drivers.
They are at this point. There's not much they can really do unless they want to try and work together in some way and try and get onto the back. But everyone wants that third place, and of course that's what everyone is aiming for right now. So there's not much else you can really do. Here we are then, still watching Moisov and Mangano go round, and Moisov really is doing enough just to keep the position. All he has to do is to sit on the line and keep things going that way, and that'll be third place for him if no one else can improve.
Certainly is. So coming in towards the spoon curve there, you can see Moisov going defensive. Is that going to compromise his run though, coming through onto the straight? That is the crucial question. Coming through then into the left-hander, you can see Moisov with that tighter line. Does he get a strong exit out of it though? V8 versus V10 power between Moisov and between Mangano then. So Aston Martin versus Lamborghini. Moisov there going defensive. The legs of that Aston Martin very good in a straight line by the looks of things, but is he going to be helpless to the charge of Giorgio Mangano coming in towards 130R? We are. You can see how close they are between them. Moisov then tries to defend the line. Very fair driving from both of these guys. Moisov there just a little bit later on the apex, taking a bit more curve in the second phase of the corner. Is that going to compromise his run coming onto the start-finish straight? Mangano is looking like he really wants to find his way past to try and bridge that gap to Coque Lopez then. Adam Tapai also in the background ready to try and pounce between them. Moisov goes defensive once more. Tapai goes towards the outside, heading in towards the first corner. Mangano's going to try again around the outside into the first turn. No such luck though for the Italian. This is brilliant racing between all of these guys.
Oh, there's defending, then there's just driving essentially through the pits almost as Moisov. Then he was about as far right as you can get coming there down to the first corner, and as a result the positions stay the same. No one can find their way through past Nikita Moisov, not Giorgio Mangano, not this man Adam Taipei, and not Nicky Romero behind in the VW. Speaking of which, Manny Rodriguez is now starting to join this party in the Audi. He's found his way past Rover, so he'll now be looking to try and catch up to these guys and maybe try and find his way by. We know that Audi is going to be quick towards the end of the race, even with the warm tyres. The Audi's fast, just full stop. So if he can find his way by here, we might even see a surprise podium from Manny Rodriguez.
Wouldn't that be a welcome sight for him? He'd love to have that bit of confidence for him coming in towards the hairpin. We are with Adam Tapai. I wonder if he was going to think about a little bit of a lunge there. Not quite an opportunity being presented though, because Mangano of course is trying to attack Moisov in front. By the way, apologies to Nicolas Romero. He actually prefers being called Nico as opposed to Nicky. I say Nicky because it's the name of somebody who did a song with Avicii a few years ago, which is a bit of a left field sort of stat and topic to go through in the middle of a manufacturer series race for the top 16 superstars, but we'll refer to him henceforth as Nico Romero. And what a sterling job he's doing there in P6 behind the wheel of that Volkswagen.
What about Nico E? What about that instead? Nico? Yeah. No, I don't think so. It's Nico. Apologies, Nico. I was going to say apologies, Nicky then. Good job, Jimmy. Anyway,
in the Ford and the Mustang. This thing's been pretty quick down the straights. Most times we see it, but again, doesn't quite have enough to catch his gun in front. Now Giorgio Mangano again looking all over the back, and the Nikita Moisov just parks that Aston Martin.
Look at Romero.
And there goes Romero around the outside, trying to anyway. In the Scirocco, he's got that done. That was a cheeky move. He's on the outside though, and we know that Mustang's quick off the corner, so probably pull back by him on the straight. But Nicky really giving it his best shot. Nico, sorry, really giving it his best shot. But in the background there, Manny Rodriguez, he's now got the run. He didn't have to deal with going 2x2 through there. So in the Audi, he's there now, maybe trying to pick up a couple of paces, looking to the inside, might try and make it free wide coming into the first corner there. It hasn't quite made it stick to Pai, and Romero goes side by side instead. To Pai then comes out just about in 5th position, and the positions somehow stay as they were.
Flash of the lights there from Nico Romero as he just tried to put that pressure onto Adam Pai. Just say, I know you're there. This is some very good racing, and whilst they've been battling amongst one another, look at Manny Rodriguez. I thought he was going to have a lunge there up the inside into the S's. I mean, it's so much more time through there. You can make it stick, but you've got to have such confidence that your car's going to grip, and a lot of confidence, particularly in the other driver that you're dancing around with. One thing I have to say about this Ford, it looks like a really sort of heavy cumbersome car, like a big heavy workman's boot, whereas the guys in front, the likes of Pai and Moisov in the Aston and the Lamborghini, almost look sort of sleeker, a little bit more sort of ballerina point shoey-esque between these guys, and it's really good to see that Mustang fighting so well up the sharp end of the grid. Here though is the continuing theme of Mangano versus Moisov coming out of the hairpin side by side. Mangano is now ahead of the Czech driver, so it's now Lamborghini in 3rd, Aston Martin in 4th, a little bit wide though coming through the right-hander. Is Moisov going to retaliate as they come down in towards the spoon curve? Is he going to crucially try and find his way back past as they come on to the back straight once more? Mangano there, little bit wide through the spoon corner, coming out of it now and onto the straight through the penalty zone they go. No drivers having to serve penalties thankfully, but a lot of drivers in the slipstream as they try to find their way past their fellow competitors, and Mangano, from being the driver who's been attacking Moisov for so long, is now on the back foot. He's trying to defend.
You just think about really how much time that little mistake at the start of the race cost Mangano. 7 seconds now to Coque Lopez as the gap. Had that not happened, he might even be up there with them, but that's how competitive it is here. If you have that one mistake, you find yourself just put back into the field, back into the scrum, so to speak, and then finding just losing time, having to fight with those around you. Speaking of losing time, Baptiste Beauvoir still in 13th place in that Mercedes-Benz, just not quite able to do anything around it in that Merc. That penalty earlier on really put him back down on the pack, and now it's not looking good for the Frenchman. Here he is on track. He's stuck in a little bit of a train here behind Kravchenko in the Porsche, Buller in front of the Audi, and Salazar at the head of the pack in the Mazda, but nowhere ready for Beauvoir to progress through.
Fair play, by the way, to Salazar and Buller. They've made up 4 positions, respectively, considering where they started. Baptiste Beauvoir, meanwhile, has lost 2. Started in P11, now down in P13. He's just in no man's land in this race, really. I mean, I'm trying to work out what that's down to. Maybe it's down to just not being comfortable with the car. Maybe the Mercedes isn't as quick in Group 4 trim.
Yeah, it seems that way. It's not been very strong really at all in any of the manufacturers. To say strong, it's been average. I think it's fair to say. To say it's been weak would be unfair to the other drivers. But yeah, it's just not quite there. Hasn't quite got the what you need around here is a bit of straight line speed. I think really to try and be able to poke your nose somewhere. And the Merc hasn't got that so far. Looking back from Salazar, Kravchenko having a half look at Buller there, and also to defend a little bit from Beauvoir. Nice wide exit there from Kravchenko too, just to make sure he gets a good run. But you see a bit of flashing lights there from Buller. That drive off the corner for the Audi, the initial drive off the corner for the TT is just supreme compared to the other cars. There's such great traction at the corner, sort of runs out of puff a little bit at the end of the straights. As a result, Buller looking up the inside of Salazar into Spoon. Thank you very much, mate. I'll take that. Up the inside, nice and easy, no drama there. And Buller will probably see now put away down the straight up towards 130R.
Let's see what Buller can do then. German driver behind the wheel of the German car. Now Salazar is on the defensive for Kravchenko, and this is what we are so accustomed to seeing in the Manufacturer Series race. The group sort of splinter off to drivers sort of running different pace in the race, and well, you can see exactly that as a curve. Look at that closing speed there from Beauvoir coming through 130. You just have such trust and such faith as they go into that chicane that nobody's going to just lift off a little bit too much, and everybody being relatively sensible going through there. Everybody everybody staying as they were there as well. Look at Salazar, he's had a good run on Buller for P10 then, so let's see whether he is going to be able to find his way past. It's Portuguese driver versus the German then as they come side by side, but the legs on that Audi on the straight without the slipstream, it's just supreme compared to everything else around it.
Yeah, I drove a little bit with Lucas, of course, earlier on. We were at Audi, I was in the Audi, he was in the Porsche, and just out the corner exit, the Audi just walks away from the Porsche. And in that first part of acceleration up to about 4th gear, the car is just fantastic. It runs out puff a bit at the end, as I said before, but otherwise around here, it's enough to defend with, really, and that's the important thing. Gap at the front as well is still only about 0.4 of a second, by the way, between our leaders. Gallo and Lopez are still fighting very closely as well. Here is the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th, though. To pay in the Ford, still not able to find his way past Moisov. Manglo with a little bit of a gap now, back to Moisov, so he'll be happy with that, but again, probably ruining the mistake earlier on, because he could have maybe been in that fight for 2nd and 1st place, but right now doing a good job of consolidating 3rd, bar any more mistakes.
Yeah, this is good to see here then from these guys. Coco Lopez doing a sterling job, by the way, in 2nd position. I think it's worth mentioning as well. Down there, you can see the 2 Williams Esports teammates running in the top 3 positions, so they'll be very happy with this race if it stays as it is. But Coco Lopez actually keeping Valerio Gallo very honest, and I wonder, he's been keeping him honest. That gap has been sitting about half a second or so for the last handful of laps. Is he going to be thinking about lining something up before the end of this race, do we reckon?
Yeah, possibly. Maybe he's just waiting. You know, we know Coco is he's an intelligent guy. He'll sit there and wait if he needs to, and he's not too fussed about Gallo leading. Of course, again, these guys are teammates, and really there might be a bit of a team game going on here. Lopez might be a bit quicker than Gallo in front, but maybe just knows this guy's got a championship to win. I don't mind following him too much. Picking up some nice points, so yeah, maybe that's going on too. But you know, when you're a driver, you tend to forget those things, you know, briefly. And go, oh, sorry, really? Was that happening at the end of the race? Oh, I forgot all about that, you know, as you cross the line in 1st place.
Well, Gallo's just been able to set fastest lap after fastest lap. Every time he's been round this circuit, he's just going consistently quicker than he was last time around. It's really impressive to see here for Valerio Gallo, and Lopez, obviously, as you can see, able to match him in terms of his time, because that gap is staying at a constant. It's now down to 3.5 tenths of a second there and thereabouts between these two, so it's certainly not over yet. And maybe Lopez just biding his time, maybe saving a little bit of fuel so he can push a bit harder towards the end of this race. Fuel isn't too much of a concern, we should add. We're not expecting it to be too much of a concern, but it's worth mentioning and worth considering. And maybe his tyres will be in better condition than Valerio Gallo's, who's been setting those fastest lap at the end of this race, which could be, of course, his undoing. Here is Nicolas Romero, though, coming under pressure from Manuel Rodriguez in towards the first of the Degners, and then into the second. Rodriguez, though, coming in a bit on form here, which is nice to see, because he can have good races, Manu, but again, he can have those really off ones where you think, well, where on earth has he been? He's been a bit anonymous, and then he'll suddenly turn things around and pull out an absolute corker.
Well, he needs to get on form a little bit quicker. Only 6.5 laps left of this race. If he wants to maybe fancy himself a podium, he's got to get by Nico Romero. I keep saying Nicky now, it's stuck in my head. And get onto the back of 3rd, 4th and 5th, and he can do that. Look at that out. Look how much quicker it is in that first part of acceleration. Now he's stuck on the outside. Nico will hold that place, I imagine. Coming to Spooner, almost contact between the two as they both sort of turn into the corner there. Very easy to do that when you're out there racing. Now watch this Audi on the exit in the corner. We'll come back onto the rear end of the VW, but there won't be really much time maybe to pass up to 130R depending on the slipstream. Let's have a look. Have to come up now to 130R. Well, Rodriguez looking to the inside, a bit too early if you ask me. He's pulled out the draft and just sort of fallen back a little bit. Maybe he'll attempt something into the chicane here though.
Maybe he was just a bit tactical. Maybe he doesn't want to find his way past at the moment, but as you said, you see a bit of a wriggle on here. Coming in towards that chicane we go. Rodriguez not able to find his way through. Romero very much defending that line, halting off the charge. Is that going to compromise his exit coming through the final corner? And he's exceeded track limits, I believe, there. So Nico Romero has a 1 second penalty. That's going to allow Rodriguez an opportunity to find his way through. He'll want to get his way past, though, a little bit before that if he can. Pulls out of the slipstream coming down towards the first turn. Is Rodriguez just going to slam it through up the inside? Not quite into there. Nico holds firm, holds his line, but that penalty is going to cost him dear, and it's going to result in him falling back off of this group that they are, in turn, actually losing a bit of touch with, I think we should mention as well, just in front.
Yeah, very good luck there from Manuel Rodriguez. Now you won't have to deal with Romero coming onto the back straight, and it might be the little push he needs to get onto the back of the fellas in front. Of course, the penalty system of cut tracks is fairly slam dunk. If you go a bit too wide, you'll get a penalty, and that's what Romero did there. So he'll be frustrated himself, but you got to stick within the white lines. If you don't, you're going to get a slap from the penalty bot, and the penalty bot is not very merciful.
No, it is not. You can ask a few other drivers about that. Meanwhile, here is Adam Tapai putting the pressure on to Nikita Moisov as well. Speaking of track limits, you see there in the background as well. Was that Abraham Hagen and Frober who were going very wide out of the Danas there? They've got to be a little bit careful.
To the marshal, I think, on the way by.
Possibly so. You can see there Adam Tapai, though, as we said, putting that pressure onto Nikita Moisov. Mangano, though, has just been able to get a bit of breathing room, put a few car lengths between himself and now this duo that are squabbling for position. So it is still that Williams Esports 1-2-3, and that'll be a welcome sight there for Mangano. Is Tapai going to have anything in his locker, or is the straight line speed of the Aston Martin, which we know has been very strong so far, going to be too much for the Mustang to overhaul? We're about to find out as Romero serves his penalty here.
Yep, so that'll be Rodriguez up into 6th place. There he is. Romero might have lose a couple more places between Frober and Abraham Hagen behind him. He can't get up to speed quick enough. The gates on the inside here to defend, but that Aston Martin is going to sweep around the outside there, and Romero is going to lose another position. So not 1 but 2 places there. Lost of that cut track penalty. So yeah, that's why it's important to keep it between the lines.
Here, though, is Tapai still putting that pressure onto Moisov. Thought he was going to be able to find his way past coming in towards 130R, but Moisov clearly defending that position very well. But again, taking that very tight line towards the pit wall there. He's really trying to defend, but Tapai's got a very good run coming down in towards the first corner. We go then. Is the Ford going to find his way around the outside of the Aston? Not quite through there. Maybe set something up into the second part of it and get the switch back. He has a look, but does he find a way through? Still side by side, almost on corner exit. Moisov's going to have track position into the left and holds firm for 4th place, but Tapai, I think we should mention that he is clearly looking the quicker of the 2 drivers here, and it's just a case of when rather than if he finds his way through at this point.
Yeah, but look who's rapidly closing behind them. Manuel Rodriguez, after being released from behind Nico Romero, is now rapidly gaining on both of these guys, so it's going to become a three-way struggle for 4th place if they're not careful. Mangano, thankfully for him, he's got a 2-second gap now, so looking like Rodriguez probably won't be able to jump these guys and then go after Mangano, but if he has the pace and carries it, there's a very good chance that Rodriguez will come away in 4th place here.
So let's see what happens then. Coming down towards that hairpin we go. You can see them running nose to tail with one another. Meanwhile, 9 seconds up the road, Valerio Gallo and Coque Lopez. And that gap still sitting at 0.3 of a second between the top 2 in this race. So that is going to be a very tantalising prospect into the last few laps of this one then. In towards the spoon curve we go, and Tapai again keeping that pressure on. I have to say, Moisov's defensive driving is brilliant. He's just harsh but fair. Very, very aware of his surroundings and just moving over when he needs to, not being too aggressive. You can see in there just that one singular move on the straight. He's not weaving around too much. He's not cutting the nose off of Tapai into the braking zone. Tapai having a very clear run coming in towards 130R, but Moisov again moving over to the defender's line. He's allowed to do that into that corner. He's not chopping the nose off too aggressively there of Tapai, not costing them too much time in the process of that there either, and still holding firm into P4. So great racecraft here from the Czech.
Yeah, good defensive driving. You like to see that, and being respected too. Now, here's interesting. Coque Lopez is now thinking maybe it's about time I took this race win away from Mr. Gallo in front, and I think that Coque Lopez has the pace in the car to do that. He's closed right back up again. The gap is now over. As what you see on your screen now, 0.2 of a second. You can almost reach out and touch that rear spoiler of Gallo in front, and all he needs really is a draft down one of the straights and he'll be by. But maybe it's a bit too early to be trying this. We've got a few laps left yet. There'll be more than enough time for Gallo to retaliate. And maybe it's just sort of feeling it out. This is something you do when you're behind someone. You try different moves, different parts of the circuit, try and understand where they're strong and where you're strong, and then make a move based on that. And we know that BMW in the draft has got more than enough legs to get by the NSX. So maybe we think about something coming out of the spin corner.
He was quick with the 2 drivers last time around, in by a 1/10 of a second or so. He's actually set the fastest lap in this race, a 2:08.6 earlier on. That was on lap 10, and that is compared to Gallo's 2:08.7. So not much to split hairs between them and get the metaphorical duvet out and throw it over them at this point, because they've been running so close in this race. But it's interesting because Coque, I'd say, looks very strong, especially in that final sector. Gallo looks quite strong though in that first sector at the moment. So different strengths and weaknesses between them.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'd expect that in a sector. I mean, just look at it to be a bit quicker through the first sector compared to the BMW behind, which is a bit chunkier. But here we are now. Here's a bit that we think that maybe Lopez might be able to pull up to the back of Gallo in the draft now. The gap is coming down, not by a lot though, at this point. So it looks like they're both sort of equally matched coming down the straight. Lopez in that draft did have his head down underneath the steering wheel, I'm sure, to try and get a bit more straight line speed coming around 130R now. Definitely not close enough to make a move at the moment. Coco Lopez, though, I see what he's doing. He's coming onto his line nice and late, just to sort of stay in Gallo's mirror. You have a bit of a peripheral vision when you're driving around, of course, and you can sort of see every now and then the guy die out behind you. You think, oh man, he's closer than he was before. And in that moment you look in your mirror and you aren't looking where you're going, that's where a mistake can pop up, and that's what Lopez is trying to do. Gallo now, again, got the run coming down the main straight, but Gallo goes defensive, and Coco Lopez might try and cut back inside here, but not quite able to do so, and time is running out for Coco Lopez.
I'd love to see an onboard there with Coco. I wonder whether he's just feathering the throttle as he gets too close to Valerio Gallo there, maybe just waiting until the last moment to make a lunge. He's been, as you said, steadily closing up over these last few laps or so, and it's surely he's going to have to think about a move before the end of this one, because he's just been positioning his car so well. But definitely through that first sector you can see clearly that NSX is the stronger of the two cars, but in the middle and the third sectors I'd say Coque's just got a slight edge over Gallo's Honda through there. Maybe something to do with the drivers there as well, and perhaps the tyres underneath them. Maybe Lopez's tyres are just in a little bit better shape. But I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen between those two. And as you said, Jimmy, Lopez, he's going to have to think about it here and think about where he makes his move. If you were in his position now, what would you be thinking about? Where would you be thinking about trying to get yourself close to and past the Italian?
I think it needs to happen probably down towards T1, because that's the point where you have a lot of time to sort of stop the guy from behind you coming back, and you've got a little bit of time to eke out a little bit of a gap before you get down to the slipstream opportunity up to 130R. If you pass at the chicane, then you are essentially giving the guy behind all the time in the world to slipstream back. Meanwhile, Depay finally has found a way by Nikita Moisov. Maybe, let's see, coming down to spoon curve. He is by, finally. So Adam there'll be a cheer and his copy as they, that took pretty much all race, but I'm by. Moisov defended very well indeed, but not quite well enough at the end, and Tapia in the Ford gets back by, very immediately pulls to the left, trying to break the toe, coming up towards 130R now. Moisov will look to the outside, maybe try and go around there, but hasn't quite got the legs to do so, and Tapia will keep position, I believe, into the chicane, unless Moisov fancies firing one up the inside. Let's see, he's a bit closer than I thought he would be. Into the chicane we go then, heavy on the brakes, who's going to come out there, and Tapia will stay there for now. Moisov thinks better of it, thinks, I'll just draft him down the straight instead.
I think they were side by side in the background as well, between Frober and, by the looks of things, Abraham Hagen going. They could have been Buller and Zoka actually, by the looks of things, because it was a BMW and an Audi. But meanwhile, let's come back to that thought a little bit later on, because Coco Lopez is still running on board with him. We are now in towards these S's, the penultimate lap we are on here, just to remind you. And Coco Lopez has been driving very nicely indeed. Last time around, drivers separated by less than half a tenth of a second. Actually, in Gallo's favour, he was the quicker of the two drivers, but it's all pretty much null and void when you get to that point there. The gap is still very much consistent between the two. Coming in towards the Dayton as we go. Very careful going through there now. These tyres are very much past their best, and it's important to consider that thought as well, because of course Gallo or Lopez may have used their tyres a little bit harder, may just be struggling a bit more with tyre life, and Lopez just so late on the brakes. He's got so much confidence underneath him with that car. I'm really hoping he's going to try something on Gallo here, because this will give us an almighty squabble at the end of this race.
One rule in racing, Tom, when you're racing your teammates. Yeah, exactly. Don't take out your teammate. And I'm sure Coque will be thinking that right now, like, as much as I want this win, I do not want us to both end up in the barrier. And of course, Giorgio Mangano as well, also winning driver. So whatever happens today, really, it's been a great day for them. Well, up until now anyway, we don't know what's going to happen really. But Coque, you know, these are all competitive guys. You know, when you can say teammates until you're blue in the face, but they'll all want to win this race. So Coque Lopez will be probably forgetting the fact they're both Williams eSports drivers right now and thinking, well, I've got a chance of winning this. How am I going to do it? Again, just doing the same thing. He hasn't quite got the same speed out of the 130R as Gallo has. I think a bit more aero on that
on the NSX than Koke has in the BMW. But now this is it really, coming on to the last lap of the race. It's going to be now or never really. He is quite close though, coming down the straight. He's going to have to go a long way around. Gallo will defend, I imagine, coming down the T1 as he has done for the last few laps. There he goes defensive right at the last point. Will Koke try and make a move around the outside? I don't think he'll be able to. Has a look, almost puts a quarter there on the rear of Gallo, not quite able to do so, and again now stuck behind throughout the S's. So that is one opportunity down, 2 to go for this lap for Koke Lopez.
Brilliant defensive driving there from Valerio Gallo, and great for Koke to be wise. Now coming through these S-bends here. Hairpin, do you reckon, Jimmy?
I don't know. Gallo's been very fast from the deck. This is the thing. He's been really quick through there, able to get the car launched out of the exit deck 2 very well indeed. So we'll see though. Here we'll have the driver's eye view, the best camera in the house right now as we come down to the first deck now. Chuck it to the inside, use all the curb on the inside, run out a little bit wide, not too wide though, you'll catch the gravel. And Koke really good on entry. How is he on exit? He's okay, but Gallo's got good drive out of there too. This 0.2 of a second, not usually close enough for a move here. Will he look for it? No, thinks better. Going very wide though. He's going to try and get a better exit than Gallo out of here. Gallo's slow on the apex as well, and now they're both going to be slow coming up to Spoon. But it doesn't matter too much, they're flying each other, there's no one behind them. And again, Lopez has the draft.
So this is where it's going to count then for Koke Lopez coming through the right hand. They're going to flick it left into Spoon, and Lopez needs to set up his exit absolutely perfectly through here to have a run coming through 130R. Gallo a little bit wide there on the entry into Spoon. Is that going to compromise his second half of it? Look at Lopez then, good run out of that corner. He's got the advantage of the slipstream, don't forget, which Gallo does not. Coming down this straight we are then for the final time. It's Gallo versus Lopez. Is the Spaniard going to be able to find the way past the Italian though, coming in towards 130R? I think the Honda's just got the legs coming into there, but it's the chicane for the final time where it's going to get spicy between them, I'm sure of it. Gallo on the defensive, Lopez is going to try and attack. Gallo does defend, Lopez trying to find his way through, late on the brakes, he's going to try and go around the outside, but Gallo holds firm, he holds the line off, and he holds the race lead coming through the final corner. Valerio Gallo wins the Manufacturers Series race for round 28 of the top 16 Superstars. It's a Williams 1-2-3 here at Suzuka, with Lopez coming home second, Mangano in third, Adam Tapai claims 4th position ahead of Nikita Moisov as well. Very close further down for P7, as you can see, Nico Romero ahead of Abraham Hagen and Frober as well. But what a great end to that race, and fair play as well to Valerio Gallo. Look at Beauvoir, he was nearly down in P13. Oh, how the tables have turned for the Frenchman. But what a race from these two. Valerio Gallo and Koke Lopez stand up and take a bow after that one, because that was brilliant.
Great defensive driving there from Gallo at the end. Just gave Koke Lopez enough room to not running off the circuit, but not to give him the launch of the corner. And that's how you do it. And that's I live for racing like that in the sim world, because it's really hard to get those moves right over the internet, and Gallo just got it perfectly. It was sweet. Love that. Love all that.
Final results you can see on the screen, as we said, Zoka completing the top 10, Buller, Beauvoir down in 12th ahead of Kravchenko, Sikaridis, then Salazar, 15th position. Goodness me, he'll be scratching his head after that one. Squattrito, the Italian, sadly did not make the checkered flag, the only of the classified, non-classified runners after that. But what a brilliant race in the Manufacturer Series for round 28. Well, some awesome racing we have seen today in the Nations Cup and the Manufacturer Series, I'm sure you will agree. Now, we're back next time, not in the usual 2 weeks, but only 1 week, and so you get to see this handsome man once again for the top 16 Superstars, round 30, the final stage in our online season. It's going to be a thriller, this one, isn't it? Championships to be decided.
Kind of want to do the whole big, like, American, it's the big one, because it is sort of the big one. But yeah, definitely, it's all coming down to the next round. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll be live on YouTube and Twitch for that one. Thanks very much for joining Jimmy Broadbent, and from myself, Tom Brooks. We'll see you in a week for the finale of the top 16 Superstars for the FIA Gran Turismo Championship.